Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Monday edition of FPC Radio Live. I am your host, Ian Glendon, and we are still recovering, reacting, taking in all the action that we saw yesterday afternoon. And John, I know we say this every week, and we always hype it up, but good God, I mean, football's great, isn't it? I mean, what we saw yesterday, endless entertainment. I mean, come from behind victories. I mean, the drama, I love it. I love it. This is the honeymoon phase of the NFL season for me, and I'm absolutely loving it right now.
Yeah, it's sensational. I mean, especially when you compare it to college football, and I enjoy college football, but I mean, how many games on Saturday were like 73-6 or 62-0? And I'm just kind of making these scores up. There was no competition in those games on Saturday. Then you get to Sunday, and it was just like crazy. You had three teams come back from a double-digit fourth quarter deficit on the road, and win. You know, like just crazy. Especially Miami was down 21 points at Baltimore. You just figure that game's over, and Tua leads the way with 6 touchdown passes, 4 coming in the fourth quarter. A great win by Miami. Joe Flacco overcomes a 13-point deficit with less than 2 minutes left and beats Cleveland. And then Kyler Murray was down 20-0 at the half, comes back and scores 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions to force overtime and wins it in overtime. He didn't. The defense did. But nonetheless, another big win, come from behind win for a team on the road. So, yeah, just crazy games. And that's why, as they said in the movie Concussion, it dominates one day of the week.
Mm-hmm. And it creates discussion for the other 6. I mean, that's the amazing thing about the NFL. It's not just as much as everything's condensed. We say one day. I mean, obviously you have Monday Night Football. We have 2 games tonight, actually, Thursday Night Football. But obviously the bulk of it all comes on Sunday. But it was. I mean, and you didn't even mention the Falcons nearly came back down 28-3, which I don't know what kind of exercising of demons that would have done, but nonetheless, it would have still been kind of a nice little thing for the Falcons. And look, we'll start. Last night, Sunday Night Football, we both obviously expected that. I mean, it's the Bears. I personally, I'm not shocked that the Packers beat the Bears, because that's what they do. I mean, I'm not too surprised. So we'll get to that game. I do want to talk about Miami and Baltimore, because you mentioned Tua. You mentioned Tua, and like, I mean, I've certainly not been his biggest fan. I still think he's not the most accurate quarterback according to Tyreek Hill. But then again, Tyreek Hill didn't have the most accurate quarterback before. And that's something that I kind of harped on when it's like, okay, how many times are we going to see, Tyreek Hill, completely wide open, no one around him, having to come back for a ball that's a little bit off target? Well, that's what we saw. It is what it is. I mean, Tyreek Hill, that's an advantage you have. But I mean, Tua looked like Patrick Mahomes in the fourth quarter, or this idea of Patrick Mahomes. Let me clarify this, because people take the maximum that you get from Mahomes, basically the 2018 season, and use that to be, I don't know, make it current. So I think what we saw was the peak 2018 Chiefs offense in that fourth quarter, and it was just, did I say 2014? 2018, if I misspoke. I apologize. But we saw just absolute, I mean, it was pretty amazing to see, John. 21 points down in the fourth quarter, and like you see the 60-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill, see another huge touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle obviously on the other side. I mean, if if Tua plays like this, I mean, I'm not talking about 6 touchdowns every game, but I was impressed with his plays outside of those big plays to Tyreek Hill. Dolphins are going to be a pretty dangerous team, and if you're the Bills, maybe that division's not guaranteed. And look, this is coming from obviously a Patriots fan, and I'm no fan of the Dolphins, and in fact find them quite unbearable. But I mean, how many teams are capable of putting up like that type of offense against a team like the Ravens?
Yeah, I mean, those 2 receivers are sensational. That's the best pair of receivers on the same team in the NFL, right? I mean, Tyreek Hill is one of one. Is he the best receiver in football? I don't think so, but he's in that discussion. And Jalen Waddle is a stud. I mean, so you've got two of them that can just take a slant and take it to the house. They're both guys that are very competitive out there too. Like contested catches. They're not afraid to go up and go grab it. Neither one of them is all that big. But yeah, no, that was amazing. Because it just looked like Baltimore had that thing wrapped up, and Lamar Jackson was putting together a sensational game.
Yeah.
And
he was the league's leading rusher yesterday.
Right, yeah. And the funny thing is, Ian, Baltimore can't run without him. They don't have like any kind of running game.
No,
like it's all their running yards come from Lamar Jackson. He's sensational, but just like their defense collapsed in the fourth quarter. And again, Miami, continued to fight on, and now they're 2-0. Got a big game against the Bills next week. So if the Bills win tonight against Tennessee, a couple of 2-0 games, 2-0 teams. Patriots and Jets both won. So good day for the AFC East.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was very, again, I mean, I've not been the biggest fan of Tua. Now, I think going out and doing something similar like this to Buffalo, now that is going to turn a lot of heads. And I'm not saying that that's necessary for them to get their credit. I'm just saying that if you really, really want to turn some heads, because I remember not too long ago, John, Mitch Trubisky had a 6 touchdown, 0 interception, 154 passer rating game. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying this is a one-off from Tua, for Tua. I'm just saying we've seen, I mean, it's in today's day and age, we're going to see that. I mean, Nick Foles threw 7 touchdowns in a single game once. I mean, come on.
Right.
Let's be real here. So, but like you said, if they go out and do this against the Bills team, whether they're 2-0, 1-1, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you look at the Bills team and say, okay, divisional opponent, team favored to go to the Super Bowl. That's apparently my alarm going off.
Wake up.
Yeah, wake up. Time to get up. No, this is that's alarm number like 15. Like, if I've slept long past my point of getting up, like that's like, okay, come on. All right. We're snoozing like every 20 minutes here, but we're still going off. So yeah, so that would be quite impressive if they go out and they don't have to handle the Bills, but if they go out and compete and look like a team that belongs, all of a sudden I think we have to maybe reevaluate how we look at the Miami Dolphins, because they have talent. And I think my biggest question mark really was the quarterback, and having a guy like Tyreek Hill makes up for a lot of problems, or a lot of maybe issues that might have been there in the past, but you still need good quarterback play, and that's what we got. I mean, we've got great quarterback play from Tua yesterday, and if you get even a percentage of that going forward, again, this Dolphins team's going to be pretty darn good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you see Mike McDaniel, who I think is the most unique coach in the NFL, has done a good job getting that offense up to speed. And it's a very, very quarterback-friendly offense, but it's also a quarterback-friendly offense when you're throwing the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Mike Gesicki. I mean, that really does help matters because those skill position players on Miami are that good. So, yeah, I mean, again, it's early. It's 2 weeks into the season, but, we saw with the NFL yesterday that sometimes teams aren't as good as we think they are. They're not as bad as we think they are. I mean, heck, Arizona was putrid in week 1 and getting blown up by Kansas City. Then they're down 20-0 at the half against the Raiders. And like, is this team going to go winless this year? And then they were able to turn it around, and the Raiders did what the Raiders normally do, which is find ways to lose. And there's the Arizona Cardinals pulling off an unlikely win.
See, I almost feel like that was more the Raiders. And I'm not taking
Absolutely.
credit. You know what I mean?
Like,
I'm not looking at this and saying, "Oh my God, the Cardinals." I'm like, no, this is fool's gold. We've seen the Cardinals, because that's the thing with the Cardinals. I mean, they have talent that's capable of, like, look. I mean, that 2-point conversion that Murray, he ran like 80-something yards. I mean, that was impressive. I mean, I'm not going to do that. I mean, very few players can do that, but that's not sustainable. You know what I mean? Like that, I don't look at that and say, "Oh man, this Cardinals team has figured something out." I'm like, no, they just, by the grace of whatever, somehow managed not to get tackled. And then the Raiders, somehow, I just don't understand how they just lost track and allowed him to just basically walk into the end zone untouched. Like it was I don't know. I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, man, all this talk about Kyler, and I'm going to look like a fool this week because they happen to play the Raiders, and the Raiders raided, you know. And
Mhm.
like now I have to sit here and be like, oh well, the Cardinals. No, look, I've seen enough from the Cardinals to know that seeing just this isn't going to change my mind about the big picture when it comes to them. And look, Kyler Murray, just because I don't think he's as good as people think he is, doesn't mean he's not capable of making great plays. I mean, every quarter, like, here's the thing, John. Every single quarterback in this league can make a tight window, spiral, beautiful throw. We see it every week. It's the consistency of being able to do that that separates greatness and mediocrity. Um, so every quarterback is capable of having. Again, I mentioned earlier, Nick Foles threw 7 touchdown passes. He had a great playoff run. I mean, hell, Joe Flacco arguably had the greatest individual playoff run by a quarterback in NFL history, in modern NFL history. But no, you know what I'm saying? So like
Mhm.
the football is made and it creates potential like that where even mediocre players are going to play like they're the best quarterback in the history of the world. So we're seeing that I think a little bit from time to time from the Cardinals where Kyler Murray's skill set is so unique that when everything is working, it can look very dominant and give you a lot of like, oh wow, this team is. But again, at the end of the day, I don't think it's that sustainable, and I think it always gives you a little bit of fool's gold because you get so enamored with those highlight reel plays and like incredible, the Hail Murray. Remember what that did, John? The Hail Murray. Oh my God, Kyler Murray is here. What happened? I think they lost every game except for one the rest of the way after that. You know what I'm saying? So like again, sometimes teams full of talent, not necessarily cohesion, but teams full of talent are capable of doing great things. It's just, in my opinion, it's not a sustainable way of winning. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Oh, sure. I mean, to me, quarterbacks are kind of like golfers, right? Like they all have the ability to do incredible things. Like you said, they can all make tight window throws. Joe Flacco can probably throw the ball 75 yards still at his advanced age. But can you do it consistently, right? And it's like golfers. You watch a golf tournament, someone will come out of nowhere, shoot a 64 on Sunday and win, and then you won't hear from them for 3 more years. Whereas the consistent golfers are always in play, with Rory McIlroy or
Hmm.
whoever else. I mean, I'm not a big golf guy, but just to make the comparison, and same thing in the NFL. Yeah, you saw two with 6 touchdown passes yesterday. You saw Joe Flacco with 4 in that crazy comeback win by the Jets. But next week they, may throw 3 interceptions each. So that's what makes the great quarterbacks great is the consistency that they have week in, week out. But yeah, they're all capable of having one incredible game or even an incredible quarter and get the job done. But yeah, it was just a really interesting Sunday because you had teams coming from behind on the road and just well, that's why we watch the NFL every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday.
Well, and look, I mean, one one of the more, let's say, uninspiring wins from this Sunday, and we have a short show today, folks, and I meant to mention that at the top, but um, we're just kind of giving our knee jerk reactions to what we saw yesterday, and then tomorrow after we obviously see the 2 Monday night games, we're going to really kind of do a deep dive. But I can tell you right now, one of the most uninspiring wins of the weekend, John, came from the
Mm-hmm.
Denver Broncos, and have I looked any more right outside of talking about Tom Brady than I do when it comes to talking about Russell Wilson? Because again, I'm seeing a guy who looks cooked. Like he doesn't look like a guy that I think the Broncos thought they were getting. You know what I mean? Like again, I'm being harsh on him. I get it. That's my thing. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you, 33-year-old Russell Wilson, a guy who has been sacked as much as he has, it's not worth the money and the contract that he just received. And I think the Broncos are going to be in for a pretty rude awakening once you get to week 6, week 7, and you realize, okay, things aren't getting better. Like I think a lot of people are like, oh no, it's going to get better. I just don't see it, John. I don't see it.
And he has talent around him. I mean, their receivers group are pretty good. The offensive line's okay. They can run the football. We know they have an excellent defense.
Yeah.
No question about that. That's why everyone was picking them to get to the playoffs because they were a quarterback away, and you figure Russell Wilson good enough to get it done. Yeah, he just seems off. Again, maybe he's just on the back nine right now, and it's a physical thing or whatever the case may be.
He wore himself out training 19 hours a day.
That's the problem. You got to rest more. You can't be training 30 hours a day. You just can't do that. That's not a good thing to do.
No, I obviously I'm being kind of snarky and a little harsh, but at the end of the day, I'm looking at a guy who just, I mean, he didn't really look good out there. I mean, they won, I get it, but that's not what you're looking. If you're Denver, that's not, through two games, and he got booed by Denver.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a team that has got the likes of Brock Osweiler twice. I feel like that's like Billy Martin, Brock Osweiler, Brock Osweiler. Brock.
At least Billy won a World Series.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, I mean, look, Jesus, I mean, I really got to wake up. Apparently, Brock obviously.
What are you working at, NORAD or something?
Yeah.
Like you can't possibly oversleep. Like the world is at your fingertips. The existence
John,
of the world is at your peril.
I've considered trying to find one of those old like wood panel like alarm clocks that sound like the doomsday alarm when it goes off to put in my room.
I got one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because like the problem is all my alarms are on my phone now, so it's so easy. Like if I'm wearing my watch, all I have to do is hit my watch, or like if it's going through Siri or it's gonna react now, or Alexa, all I have to do is say a word and it shuts off. So it kind of helps you, pushes you towards the snooze, and I don't like that. I gotta hear that alarm, and I have to force myself to get up to go turn it off. So that's what I'm working on.
And the key, the key to that is I used to have my alarm clock on the other side of my bedroom, and I would put it on a station that I didn't like, so that when the alarm went off and the host that was on every morning was talking, I would get up to make sure I shut it off. So now I'm up. If you put it on a station you really like, you may just lay in bed and go, wow, this show's great, or this music's great, or whatever, but put it on something you don't like, maybe like some crazy conservative talk show host or something.
There we go.
3 minutes in, you're like, holy
Packers
crap.
Radio, hosted by...
Well, for you, yes. Yes. By some sort of cheesehead out there.
Well, look, I mean, and we only, like I said, we only have a few minutes left here. So real quick, I'll say this. Obviously, I mean, we both picked the Packers to win last night. The real test is coming next week. Them versus them and the Bucks. I think the Bucks defense is great. I think their offense, the play calling has been frustrating and I was kind of complaining about this yesterday, and I feel like whether it's the Bucks trying to be too cute or whatever, taking the ball out of Tom Brady's hands is a little like, I get trying to establish the run, but stop. Okay, just stop. I mean, I think on 18 first down plays yesterday, they ran the ball 14 times. Like, stop it. All right, like this is crazy. This isn't 2001. You have Tom Brady at quarterback. Let's settle down with we're trying to keep it balanced. No, you need balance between play action and non-play action passes, and then sprinkle in some runs if you like, but. The reality of it is you got to run this offense through his arm. And look, I get it. Yesterday was pretty impressive in a game that would have won Aaron Rodgers the MVP if he would have participated in it, because we heard nothing more, or that's all we heard last year when Aaron Rodgers and the Packers beat the Cardinals, without Devontae Adams. And Tom Brady, no Julio Jones, which again, I'm hoping that's not a trend, but
I think that's a major difference, though. I mean, Rodgers without Devontae Adams last year, Brady without Julio Jones this year, it's a totally different thing.
No, but without Julio Jones, without Chris Godwin, having Mike Evans get ejected, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's the difference. And to Aaron Rodgers' credit, and we saw it last night. He still had his second best pass catcher, and by that I mean Aaron Jones. So at the time, he was the second leading pass catcher. So there was a lot of narrative adjustment when it came to that, But we know, John, come on, that's what Packers fans do, man. And hold on, let me clarify. The small segment of Aaron Rodgers fanatics, because Packers fans are great. I know a lot of them. They love their team. And a lot of them are very realistic when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. Others, not so much. See, you're a realistic guy, John. I'm not accusing you of being a over-the-top honk. At least not in this case. I mean, when it comes to LeBron, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But
different categories.
But that's self-proclaimed. So I'm basically you've told me this. But look, I mean, last night was as predictable as you're going to get. Of course, the Packers are going to beat the Bears. What would happen if the Patriots played the Bills? Well, guess what? Same thing. It was the exact same thing. The difference is, when's that going to happen to the elite teams of the league? For the Packers. Excuse me. When are they going to go into a contest, being the favorite, expected to win, and then just taking care of business against the likes of a team like the Bucks? I guess it's kind of a rhetorical question, but kind of a real question, John.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a big game next week because, again, if you're looking to be the number one seed in the conference, if Tampa wins, they're 3-0, you'd be 1-2. Tampa would hold the tiebreaker. Also a confidence thing, too, for the Packers. And, it's still a work in progress with these wide receivers. I'm pretty sure that Aaron Rodgers at some point is going to choke Christian Watson. This is going to happen on the field. I mean, last night he comes in motion. Rodgers is in the gun, and the snap hits Christian Watson and goes backwards, and you have to go fight for it. So they're evolving. I thought they did some good things. They ran the ball very effectively. I thought their offensive line looked better than it did in week one. Once they get Bakhtiari back at left tackle, they should be just fine. Defensively, they had trouble stopping the run, which somehow is a problem for them. Maybe they're a bend, don't break type of defense, but just a note on the Bears. How do you throw 11 passes when you're down for like 75% of the game? I mean, I get that you're running the ball effectively, but 11 passes? I mean, what is this? Like Nebraska 1993 with, running the wishbone or whatever the hell they were running? I mean, the Bears don't look like they're in the modern era.
And they have a guy that seems capable of doing some modern era type things in Justin Fields, which is confusing.
Yeah, try it. Give the kid a chance. I mean, he goes to the sideline, the poor guy, and he's like shaking his head like, what's going on here? Like, I mean, I guess, I'm almost convinced you could put Tom Brady in his prime and he wouldn't play well with the Bears. I mean, it's just like it's a black hole. The quarterback position for the Chicago Bears, they've never had a 4,000-yard passer. It's just like anybody that goes there is going to stink. It really is. I mean, Dan Fouts was throwing for 4,000 yards a year in like the late 70s. I mean, everyone got one.
Hell, give Cooper Rush a chance. Why not? He looked good out there. So,
yep.
Yeah, like I said, we're going to have to get going here today, but tomorrow we're going to obviously break down a little bit more in depth everything that we saw this week, because we do still have 2 games tonight. So, and obviously we'll break down the big Trey Lance injury, which, I mean, it's funny how things, not funny, but like it's funny, ironic, funny how things work out. How we've been talking about Jimmy Garoppolo this entire offseason, only to have him as the starter for what we would assume would be the rest of the season for the 49ers. So, yeah, pretty interesting so far through 2 weeks, almost through 2 weeks. So thank you everyone for tuning in. And again, be sure to tune in tomorrow at 9 a.m. as we hit the full hour and we really break down all the stuff that we saw. So give us a follow on Twitter at Full Press NFL. And of course, go over to fullpresscoverage.com and check out everything that's happening over there. Thank you everyone. And we will